Oh, adoption. I've never thought about that. That fixes everything. It doesn't. It doesn't fix anything. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Auziahtv and I'm a storyteller. If you watched the last episode of Chat with Auzi, 5 ways that depression almost cost me my life, then you know I struggle with infertility. And it's not just me. According to the CDC, 1 out of every 5 American women who have never given birth before are unable to get pregnant after a year of trying naturally. Those numbers are even higher for women of color. In other words, the probability of you knowing a woman who's struggling with infertility, whether she's told you or not, is pretty high. And that's why you should care about this video. It's my experience that the people who love me the most would never want to hurt me. They just don't have the language to navigate this area without being unintentionally harmful. So here are 5 things that you should never say to any woman or anyone who's battling infertility. Number 1, have you thought about adoption? When someone tells you that they can't procreate like others, they're not saying that they can't be parents. It's 2023, right? Families look different all across the world. So yes, we are aware of adoption. We aren't mourning the ability to be parents. We're mourning the fact that this journey can't look the way we've always imagined it. We all are a part of the same world, the same societies, the same communities, the definitions of what it means to be a man or a woman. We've internalized as a culture that procreation is such a huge part of that. So when we can't do that like other people, it can become an identity crisis. For me, that meant questioning my womanhood, my purpose, my existence, my relationship. Will he even want me once he realizes I can't give him a family in the way that other women can? It's so much bigger than just having a child. It becomes about having a place in society. I know that sounds ridiculous, but having issues with infertility when you see the population consistently growing around you, something about you is so different in this way, you feel like a freak. So referring to adoption when someone has trusted you with this information, it can feel very dismissive, like giving me a Band-Aid after I've been stabbed. Respectfully, what is the proper response to that? What do you want me to say? Oh, adoption. I've never thought about that. That fixes everything. It doesn't. It doesn't fix anything. And it hurt every time somebody said that to me. I knew that that person really didn't see me. They really didn't listen to what I was actually going through. And I know what you're thinking. They're just trying to be helpful. They're trying to be supportive. And I don't doubt that at all. But I do think that true empathy is listening to understand, not listening to respond. And that's a very responsive answer. Oh, you can't have kids? Adopt. Without really thinking about what that does to a person. So instead of mentioning adoption, try saying this. Wow, that's a lot. That sounds very difficult. You don't deserve it. I can't imagine what that would be like. I love you and I'm here for you. What can I do as someone who loves you to support you during this time in your life? When you respond this way, not only are you being truly empathetic, you're giving that person an opportunity to tell you exactly what they need. And it's just good friendship, right? It's just solid, good friendship. That's how you do it. The second thing that you should never say to someone struggling with infertility is that you're just too stressed. And there are a lot of other statements. They all mean the same thing. You're too stressed. Oh, if you just stop thinking about it, it'll happen for you. My cousin so-and-so, they couldn't have a baby. And the moment they stopped thinking about it, that's when it happened. Stop. This language is not helpful, and it actually more often than not comes from a place of ignorance, not understanding the specific situation that that person is going through. There are so many reasons why someone is infertile. Some of us have endometriosis. Some of us have low egg stock. Some of us have low quality eggs. And if you're like me, you just don't have eggs. With all of these reasons, all of these different diagnoses, there is no one size size fits all to curing infertility. So when you tell a woman all she has to do is stop stressing, it's so irritating because you weren't there in the doctor's office. You weren't there when they saw the x-ray or when they got their numbers or blood results back. You don't know the specific medical issue. For example, in my case, I don't have eggs. Telling me to stop thinking about it or stop stressing isn't going to all of a sudden miraculously give me eggs. You are born with all the eggs you're ever going to have in your body, and they deplete as you get older. You don't ever get any new eggs. It just doesn't happen. So when people would tell me, oh, you're just stressing too much and you need to stop thinking about it, it was just so irritating. And I wanted to scream at them like, you don't know my situation. So don't say that. Don't give me that false hope. You have to understand that women who just found this out about their bodies, we're sensitive. Everything affects us. Everything is offensive to us. And that may not be fair to people who don't want to hurt us, but it's just the truth. I know it was very hurtful to me. On one side, I had my doctor saying, hey, you need to accept this reality and we need to move forward with a plan. And then on the other side, I have family and friends saying, oh, just stop stressing. It's like, you know, it's enough to make you scream. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of studies that suggest that stress management and anxiety management, therapy, massages, things like that can positively affect your ability to be able to get pregnant. My point is, without knowing the specific situation of that specific person, you should just not mention stuff like that because it can be very triggering. Why not just remind your friend or your loved one that during this very difficult and emotional time in their life, they should focus on their mental health. So you see, that still kind of speaks to the stress management without suggesting, oh, stress management is the cure for your infertility. It's making it about the wellness of the person instead of looking at it as a way to solve this problem that in some cases can't be solved. Okay, now this next thing that I don't want you to say to people who are struggling with infertility, it's gonna sound a little controversial, but I mean it with my whole chest. Stop telling people to pray about it in context of changing the answer. I'm a Christian. I believe in the power of God. I believe that God can make any changes. He can bless anybody any way that he wants. I believe that with my whole heart. I believe that. If you know God, and you know how he moves, sometimes God will give you what you want, but not in the way that you ask for it. So if someone comes to you and they have a diagnosis, sometimes that diagnosis means it takes longer to get pregnant. Sometimes that diagnosis means you can't get pregnant. I have heard things like, I don't care if you had 5 doctors tell you you can't do it. Until you pray about it, you don't know if it's gonna happen. When I got my first opinion, I got my second opinion, I got my third opinion, and I prayed in between all of those opinions. It was very clear to me that God said no. He said, no, not this way. I don't know why he said no. I don't know why I can't have babies like other women. All I know is he said no. If you are a believer, then you know that our trials and tribulations, God uses them to make a point so that he can use you as testimony, as inspiration. I actually believe that it's kind of toxic to believe in God and not acknowledge when he has said no. As much as I hated it, God said no. And he did it through the use of medicine. I think God is responsible for all of the medical advancements that we have. The fact that my doctor can look inside my body and tell me what's going on and be clear and concise. I mean, there was never any room for doubt. And if I had listened to pray about it and the answer will change, and I want to be clear, that is what I am disputing. I'm not saying don't pray about it. I prayed through this whole process. It's always the answer, but praying to change the answer after God said what he said, that's not gonna work. That's different. When you tell someone in my position to pray about it, just make sure the context is right. Ask me to pray to be connected to God during this process. That makes sense. Asking a woman in my position to not trust the truth that she's been given and to not be able to accept the truth of what she's been given. That's what's wrong. I think sometimes we use prayer as a way to prevent ourselves from healing from the truth. we can ask God for help without having expectations about what that help will look like. I hope I made that clear. Prayer is right. Manipulation through prayer is wrong. The fourth thing that you should never say to someone struggling with infertility is any statement that makes light of what they are going through. So from personal experience, and to any of my friends who said this that are listening, it's cool. Oh, girl, it's okay if you can't have kids. Girl, these kids bad anyway. But you want my kids? You can come get my kids. Comedy, lighthearted stuff that, again, doesn't mean any harm, but it is just like, it stings a little bit. I'm telling you this really, really heavy thing, and you're making light of it, especially Black folk. Like, one thing that I love about us is that we will make comedy in any situation. Black people will laugh at a funeral. Like, that's who we are as a culture. You can have my kids, and after a day, you be ready to bring them back. Like, just stuff like that, where it's like, okay, but you have them. It's really easy to make a joke like that because you're not in my situation, but it stings. And these were the kind of jokes that I was getting like very early on after finding out that I had these issues. It's just a little insensitive. You may say it to the person and they may laugh up front, but we go home and we cry about statements like that. It hurts. And the last thing that you should not say to someone who is struggling with infertility is imposing any kind of guilt on that person for not attending social events. So after I was diagnosed with my condition, I had been invited to baby showers and other events, other family events. I missed a lot of those events because I just was not in a place. I was just not in the place to be able to enjoy them and to not bring everybody else down. While that is really, really selfish, it is what I needed at the time. And I don't feel bad about it. And the people that love me understand. A baby shower, if you can imagine, is extremely hard for a woman to attend when she's dealing with infertility issues. And it's not even that we're not happy for our friends or the people we love who are having these events. We just don't have the mental space for it. And you think, oh, well, that person is being selfish and they're just all about themselves. Well, yeah, because we're experiencing a level of trauma that nobody understands right now. So we are gonna have to take a step back. And it doesn't even just have to be baby showers and events that involve children. It could be just being out in public. It's too much sometimes. I have mentioned before on this channel that I struggle with depression. It had gotten so bad that I had thoughts of suicide. I was literally protecting myself from self-harm. And so you have to think about that before you judge and ask. It's definitely okay to ask, like, hey, I noticed that you weren't a part of this event or you didn't respond to this invitation. What's going on? Are you okay? Give that person an opportunity to tell you what's going on. But if you're going to ask, of course, do it without being judgmental. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that something I said will help you navigate this area. If you have anyone you love in your life that's struggling with infertility, please be sure to check out my other videos. I got a lot going on this channel. We have a lot of fun here. If the spirit moves you, go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. And if there is nothing else, I will see you next Sunday. Be blessed.